Adaptive Learning and Technology by Olivia, Kathy, and Jen. Adaptive learning is the delivery of individualized learning experiences that address the unique needs of each student through real-time activity, immediate feedback, and moment-to-moment adjustment to practice. Adaptive learning adjusts the content based on learner activity and performance. In short, adaptive learning teaches to the individualized student, not to the class. Adaptive learning uses technology, usually in the form of artificial intelligence, to determine each learner's exact needs, and then delivers the required content to fulfill those needs on an individual basis. First, the process typically starts with the learner taking an assessment. This assessment collects information about where the learner is and where the training should focus. After that is a series of sections that include teaching content and smaller assessments that measure how well the learner is gaining knowledge from the course. The adaptive learning system then compares the results of the smaller assessments to the original assessments. It also will adjust and adapt the personalized training to the learner's needs. The learner continues through the course until the assessments show the learner has acquired the knowledge. Some systems will also assess sections of the course the learner has already mastered to check for retention. Adaptive technology is a new emerging trend in K-12 school systems. However, it has been utilized at the college level for quite some time. Due to limited research in the K-12 school systems, adaptive learning still seems to be underutilized. However, it can provide many benefits and support to all grade levels. Adaptive learning technology and tools aim to emulate and support, but not replace, the personalized help a teacher can provide for every single student. There are various strengths and benefits to adaptive learning and adaptive technology. First, it provides continuous student learning. Teaching and learning do not stop once a student has completed a practice lesson. This type of learning challenges the gifted students and provides necessary supports for the struggling students. Next, it optimizes student learning. Adaptive learning examines a student's current knowledge and analyzes their strengths and weaknesses in real time. Students are able to master a concept before continuing on to more difficult concepts. Adaptive learning also increases student understanding because it allows students to understand and learn at their own pace and at their appropriate academic level. Because of this, it can actively enhance student engagement, making learning fun and engaging for the digital natives in today's school systems. Lastly, adaptive learning can help course correct any learning gaps by providing automated interventions based on where the student currently is in a concept and getting them where they need to be. Of course, with any new trend in education comes with some challenges. The first challenge would be the teacher and school buy-in. With limited research in K-12 school systems, it may be more difficult to convince teachers to take on a new type of technology. Another challenge is to find the right resources for your school system or classroom. Some of the adaptive learning programs can be costly, which can make it difficult for school systems with limited money in their budget to adopt. Lastly, since adaptive technology strays away from the teacher being the primary grader of the material, the educator now needs to take on a new role as data analyst. Using the program-generated data and student patterns, the teacher must be able to analyze and evaluate each student individually. Depending on the teacher's experience with data analysis, this could be a challenge without the proper training and support. As an organization or school system, there is no need to feel like you have to go full on into adaptive learning. There are different levels of adaptive learning according to Steve Bowler. Adaptive learning can start as being as small as personalizing learning material for each student's needs. Most teachers already do this if a student is on an IEP or if a student needs modifications to their assignments. The more complex level of adaptive learning includes using performance and demographic data to adapt content to each learner. This is considered an all-in adaptive learning approach. As you can see, this can be difficult to attain as a teacher of 24 students and trying to fit each one's demographic data and performance to meet them right where they are. There are also different types of adaptive learning tools that you can use online. The top 5 most common adaptive learning tools are explained by Clarity Innovations. There is adaptive learning that is considered self-paced and interactive. This model of adaptive learning consists of students viewing the content at their own pace and answering all questions of a summative response. Students then receive immediate feedback about how they did. An example of this would be on Google Forms and having students see their results after they submitted their answers. If enough questions are answered correctly, then the student can move on to new content that is unlocked. Another type of adaptive learning is adaptive at the content level. This means that students view content at their own pace and then answer all questions of a summative assessment. For each wrong answer, the student is given an explanation as to why that answer is not correct. The student is then told to go back to review certain content that they need to focus on. A third example is adaptive learning at the assessment level. The student is learning the content at their own pace and then answers one question of a summative assessment. If the answer is incorrect, the student will receive an easier question. If the answer is correct, the student will receive a harder question. The fourth example is adaptive learning at the content and assessment level. This means a student will answer all questions to a formative assessment. After completing the assessment, the student is given a tailored learning plan that includes content and practice items. After completing this work, the student then takes a summative assessment, which will then determine a new learning plan. The last example is adaptive assessment and high granularity. This includes a student answering the first question to an assessment by recording each step the student took to get the answer. The student then receives feedback based on how their steps to solving the problem compared with correct steps. The student's performance on the first question then determines the difficulty of the subsequent question. When looking at evaluating adaptive learning tools, you should ask yourself the following questions. Are there many different curriculum sequences? This will help teachers change the order of topics within a specific unit. Does the tool adjust to the pace of student learning? Will the program allow a student to move on to learn new content before the student has mastered the previous content? Does the tool take prior learning into account? Is there a pre-assessment that the student completes before beginning the lesson? Are there different strategies used in order to increase student engagement, such as interactive and games? Does the tool prompt students to rethink strategies that may not be working? Is it customized to suit individual student needs? It's not impossible for teachers to implement adaptive learning in their classroom, as students can be set challenges through apps and websites, and they can work at their own pace. The technology adapts. To implement adaptive technology in the classroom, you do not have to find a complex program that costs a lot of money. There are many resources out there that are free of cost or low cost. In a complete adaptive learning classroom, you could find students completing their own work on iPads or laptops using a variety of different programs. Each student would be working at their own pace and on content that is relevant for them. There are a few popular adaptive learning programs. Prodigy is a math standards-based program that is free of charge and adjusts content to accommodate different learning styles and to provide support in trouble spots. For example, if a player can't answer a grade level question, the game will deliver problems to build a specific skill that was not up to par. Students are working at their own pace, but they can also interact with other students through the website. Class K-12 is another app that provides lessons on grammar and math to students up to grade 6. This is considered adaptive learning because the students can be working on what they have to focus on. Students could be on different lessons, but they are all working on skills that they need support in. ScoopPad is another app that makes adaptive learning possible in the classroom. ScoopPad is geared towards grades K through 8 and picks up on red flags and learning speed bumps. This technology assists students with exercises in practice, assessment, comprehension, and remedial lessons in subjects as needed. When remediation is needed, ScoopPad assesses and assists students with tailored knowledge so they can move progress forward with ease. Matific is a great adaptive learning tool as the teachers can actually assign the content they want the students working on in math. The class is assigned challenges that they can work on at their own pace and go up and down in difficulty. iExcel is an adaptive learning program that contains standard-based learning for K through 12 in English and math in grades 2 through 8 in social studies and science. At a specific example of implementation in the classroom, we will look more specifically at iExcel. My school district recently purchased an iExcel license for students in grades 6 through 12 in math. This is the first year we have used the program and we have seen significant results. This program is utilized in our classes as more of a type of blended learning approach where iExcel skills are assigned during class or for homework to help reinforce the concepts we are learning in class. This program helps fill in any gaps a student may have from previous math classes while still getting them to where they need to be on the current topic. Parents are involved in their students' learning as well because it allows them to track progress and have students work on extra progress at home. They can also view the recommendations wall to see what skills their child needs to work on. Furthermore, it prevents a fun and engaging way for students to learn through challenges and prizes. Although I think this program has been extremely beneficial for our students, we haven't adopted it as an all-in approach. We feel that traditional methods, such as hands-on activities, projects, and collaborative activities, should also be used along with the adaptive learning program. All in all, the growth in adaptive learning is due in part to a realization that outcomes are best achieved through personalized instruction and teaching, each student and not just the class as a whole. Here is a list of our resources. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen.